Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. How are you guys? What's up? Today was a crazy day. I'm still getting so many likes. Did you guys see the tweet I posted with like, it's a little sneak peek of my next model. Wink. But wait, is my like model weirdly delayed? Is it fine now? It was like really delayed for a moment. Anyway, look at it. It went past 2,000 likes. I've never had any work of mine like get this much attention, and I've gotten so many nice comments. Like it's so crazy to me. I've never had a tweet like pop off this much. I'm very happy that people like it. When Meiro comes back online and realizes this is the case, he's probably like also gonna be extremely happy. This is so crazy for the both of us. I don't know, man. Like I'm in shock. I'm happy people like it. Deserve. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Oh fuck, the pats. Sorry, I'm like literally like mentally somewhere else. Because like it's weird because I was really bored at work today. So like work was really relaxing. But then I came home and I was doing so many things last minute in those 2 hours that like I no longer feel that relaxation, you know? Your head is just chaos right now. No, your head is just chaos right now. We have a comedian here, guys. Guys, we literally have a comedian in chat. Isn't that crazy? Also, sorry, I have to do the redeem. Yippee! No, like, another crazy thing that happened is I had my best performing YouTube short in this year. It is at 4,900 views, which might not be a lot to some, but considering it is my best performing short in 2025, like, and also the overall best performing short that is simply a stream clip, it means a lot to me. I think it flatlined now though, sadly, but it still went pretty high up. I haven't even had the time to like eat anything, so I couldn't even find any food. Like I found an apple, but I'm scared to eat an apple on stream because it's very crunchy, you know? What else can I tell you guys? Oh yeah! Time to order pizza? With what money? With what money? Talking about money! We have a temporary different donation goal. It's called the 100 Line Fund, because the new game from the people who made Danganronpa and AI the Somnium Files is coming out on Thursday. And I really fucking want it. I want it so fucking bad. But money. It also, like, for some fucking reason, it's $60 in the US, but it's like $75 in Poland. It's so fucked up. So if you wanna support my dream of getting that game and then streaming it, we have a little donation goal of those $75. And both donations and, like, cheers with bits count. And hopefully, I will be able to buy the game without feeling guilty for it. I've heard so many good things about that game, though. It's You know what's crazy about it? It has 100 endings, and supposedly none of those endings are so-called cheap endings. All of the endings are meaningful in some way. So it's not just like a lol, wrong answer, game over. It's 100 meaningful endings, and there's like multiple hundred different CGs and sprites. Like, that game is crazy. Everything I've heard about it is crazy, and I really, really, really want to check it out. So if you want to support my dream... Okay, and now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna test just how crunchy it is when I eat an apple on stream. And you guys will tell me if this means that I shouldn't do that. How was that ASMR? How was the apple crunch ASMR? I think I developed a new fetish. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. What are we doing? Wait. It was horrible, do it more. Do you guys want to hear it with reverb? Robin, you're gonna jerk off to me eating an apple? Like, what about it is in any way sexy? I'm in my experimental phase. You make me think of that dude a few years back who made it a challenge for himself to jerk off to every single Pokemon in order. You gotta get really creative with some of them. I think Robin's corruption was taken a bit too far. Hey! Me? How is me showing him yaoi in any way related to him jerking off to me eating an apple? Like, that's not on me anymore. I don't take responsibility for that. Not far enough? Jesus Christ. What have I created? What have I created? Okay. Please cue the short where I was talking about how some streamers feel stressed and scared to eat on stream, and I'm literally like okay, let's get some head. Yasuji Ban was walking through a narrow, filthy alleyway in Mariomacho. He jammed a hand in his pocket. He checked, making sure there were a dozen or so coins inside.
先輩、貼り付けの現場に何があるっていうんすか？もう事件から2週間以上経ってるし、散々調べられた後っすよ。新しい証拠なんて出てきませんって。
His partner, Detective Suwa, was walking behind him and complaining in an irritated voice. It was only natural that Suwa would be upset. The job they had been given was to tail Takumi Nishijo, a person of interest in the new-gen murder cases. But right now, they were ignoring that job and coming to visit the scene of the third new-gen case, Crucified. Ban had left the job of tailing Takumi Nishijo to some of the local cops, without bothering to tell the rest of the force he had done so. From the perspective of a rookie like Suwa, this was reckless and crazy.
やっぱまずいっすよ。尾行に戻りましょう。
Ban had dragged him out here without any explanation. Of course he was upset. So he had been trying to persuade Ban to turn back for a while now, but...
いいから黙ってついてこいって。
Ban completely ignored a rookie's protests and didn't seem the slightest bit concerned. Before long, they reached a narrow road blocked off by yellow tape. As Suwa sighed again, seemingly for the 100th time that day... 100-line reference? His phone buzzed. Why is it still buzzing? That ain't a phone anymore. Suwa, what do you have up your ass? Look how happy he is too. Sorry. He took it out, the look on his face quickly returning to that of a young, capable detective before he pressed the button to answer.
座っす。はい。はい。
Ban stopped in front of the tape as he listened to Suwa talking behind him. Past the tape was the crime scene. The place was dark, just like it had been during the time of the crime. Except for the tape, there was nothing to indicate that anything had ever happened.
見失った？女か。やられたっすね。とりあえず、深センの家に戻ってほしいっす。はい。張り込んでてください。いやいや、大丈夫っすよ。責任はバン警部補が取るっすから。
Ban chuckled a little when he heard that. Suwa was cleverer than he looked. Of course, Ban had no intention of letting Suwa or the locals take the fall for him.
なるべく早くこっちも合流します。本当申し訳ないっす。お願いします。
Suwa hung up the phone and glared at him just about the same time as Ban ducked under the tape. Suwa followed, reluctantly.
見失ったって？
尾行に気づかれたっす。直前にネットカフェで一騒動あったみたいっすし。
女っての？
岸本綾瀬っす。
お騒がせバンドの嬢ちゃんかな。つながりは？
同じ学校の同じ学年っすね。他は今のところ特に。クラスメートでもないっす。
I muted to bite an apple, and then just as that happened, they decided to give me a line I have to read. This is so fucked up. Ban ran his hand through his stubble, enjoying the sensation for just a moment. Then he took out the coins from his pocket and began to count them in the darkness. Suwa watched his partner's strange behavior, his mouth hanging open.
何してるんすか?
In another universe, I would ship them. Sorry.
よりによって5円玉だけありゃしね。そう、お前5円玉持ってねえか？
はあ。
Suwa handed the 5-yen coin over with a confused look on his face. But instead of taking it, for some reason, Ban ripped off the bottom button on his dress shirt. Then he began to unravel the string wrapped around it.
先輩、ついに頭おかしくなったんすか?
Always good to extort money from your juniors. 5 yen!
生意気な口聞くようになったじゃねえか。
Ban chuckled and lightly punched him on the forehead. Then he took the 5-yen coin and ran the string through the hole in the middle.
よし、お前にやらせてやるよ。
Van pinched both ends of the string with his fingers, hanging the 5 yen coin between them, and gave it back to his younger partner.
振り子っすか？
ああ、
Van laughed mischievously.
こいつが事件の重要なヒントを与えてくれるかもしれねえぜ。
マジっすか？
We believe in the occult now, or what's happening?
バンさん、勘弁してほしいっすよ。
Yeah, divination? Like, what's happening?
そのために仕事をほっぽってここまで来たんすか？
Suwa sounded like he was on the verge of tears. Valid. Honestly, valid. Van had dragged him on a lot of wild goose chases, but this was the worst of the lot.
サイキック操作とかダウジングとか
What the fuck is dowsing? The act of using a stick or pendulum to search for underground water or mineral ore. The most popular methods of dowsing involves the use of 2-angle rods, L-shaped metal sticks. People who dowse are called dowsers. The most persuasive theory as to how dowsing works says that the human body contains materials that act as natural magnets, and these magnets respond to underground waterways, causing our muscles to unconsciously tense. This makes it look like the dowsing rods are moving on their own. I see. People who dowse are called gullible. Crazy. Someone with psychological problems, often severe. Not a medical diagnosis. Thank you. Person inside. I...
その手のテレビでも見て影響を受けたんすね、先輩。
そういうお前も詳しいじゃねえの。
いや、まあ自分も見たは見たっすよ。先週のユーリ・ブライトマン。
ユーリ
ブライトマンっすよ。今話題になってるアメリカの超能力捜査官っす。
Yuri? Did I hear... Did I hear Yuri? This is how you guys sound like.
俺が見たのはそんなチャラチャラしたもんじゃねえや。どこかのお偉い大学教授が出ててだな。
What do you mean, anyway? Exclamation mark fish.
でもテレビっすよね。
いちいち文句の多いやつだ。やってみりゃわかる。ほら、いいから吊るしてみろって。
Ban had seniority, so Suwa had no choice but to obey. He frowned and pouted, but he did take the 5 yen coin. Then he pinched the ends of the string and let the coin move in a circle. It was too dark to see, so Ban flipped out a 100 yen lighter and struck it to give them some light. I feel like there could be better ways than using a lighter, but okay. Yuri? Is this another yaoi thing? I can't even tell if you're being serious or not.
先輩ってタバコ吸いましたっけ？
10年以上前に禁煙したよ。なんでだ？
ライター持ってたっすから。
こういうこともあろうかと用意しといたんだよ。
100% serious? Okay. In the worst wording possible, but the best way to explain it to you, Yuri is yaoi but lesbians. Or technically maybe not lesbians, but like just women with women, right?
はは。で、これで何がわかるんす？
I really think I took a wrong turn somewhere and ended up here. No, this was the correct path. This is where you were meant to be.
もっといろいろ動かしたり止めたりしてみろ。
Ban was staring at the movement of the 5 yen coin intently. He looked so serious that Suwa found himself unable to complain anymore.
やっぱりな。スワ、わかるか？
何がっす？
I come into the stream and the first thing I hear is Yuri is yaoi, but lesbians. This really is my Oshi. I'm your Oshi? No one has ever called me their Oshi before.
五円玉の動きだよ。
Oh no, now I have to explain what Oshi means to Robin. Okay, this is a longer one. Oshi, it's not as easy as favorite. It comes from idol culture, and it's sort of the idol that you support, whether by going to by like giving them money, by going to their concerts, whatever. But generally, it's not just someone you like, but someone you actively support in some way. And then this term has been like adapted as many terms from idol culture into vtuber culture. So in this sense, it would just be like a vtuber you really like and you support. And generally, it has to be like it's not that it has to be a favorite as much as just like you're not supposed to have like a lot of Oshis, right? Like you're supposed to maybe only have a few. It's less about having a favorite and more about loyalty. Does that make sense? And then above that is your Kami Oshi. Yeah, so Kami Oshi. Kami meaning God. Kami Oshi would be like your number one, your absolute favorite, number one idol or VTuber that like you support the most or like you watch the most, whatever, anything like that. But generally for Kami Oshi, you can only have one. Pay attention, Robin, this will be on the test. Maybe we should, like, in like a week or so, just make Robin do like a quiz and see what grade he gets. We get an animation! Holy shit! The coin was moving slowly in a circular motion held up by the string. Suwa looked at it, a little confused.
力の入れ方とかじゃないんすかね。
お前、楕円に回るように意識してやってんのか？
いや、結構適当にくるくると。
もっと手を動かさねえようにやってみろ。
はあ。
Suwa tried his hardest to make it move in a circle, but no matter how many times he tried, it kept tracing out in the lips.
おかしいな。
意識的に違う形にしようとしてもできねえだろ？
We're actually doing divination. Oh my god. Ban grinned. Suwa, however, seemed unsatisfied and kept trying to spin the coin.
まあ、渋谷のどこでもこの現象が見られるわけじゃねえが。それでも十数箇所はここみてえな場所があるらしいぜ。
確かに不思議っすね。でもだから何なんす？
Ban looked up with a satisfied smile, putting the lighter in his pocket and taking the fan out from his belt.
お前、渋谷がなんでここまで若者を引きつけるか知ってるか
？5円玉が楕円を描くからっすか？
Suwa meant it as a joke, but Ban calmly waved his fan and nodded.
まあ、 そういうこった。
なぜこの渋谷という場所は若者たちをこんなにも引きつけると思う。
Panic. There we go. Thank you for the fact. This game made it so I had to have a fucking prepared... Like, I have a button that puts me in this position. Have you ever tried this one? Sorry. I think I know why so many young kids are drawn to Shibuya. Cover the tits with bigger tits. It doesn't count because this is a swimsuit and I'm on the beach. This is a beach overlay. I'm cheating the system, okay? Faz began to talk about something completely different. Internally, I was relieved. I thought she would treat me like I was a pervert, but instead she just ignored what was happening. Wait, they're both talking? Wait, were you trying to do a quote command? I wonder if that's something you can, like... One second. Does my chatbot have something like that set up, or no? You can... Okay, I think it should work now? Try again, but don't misspell the word quote. Wait, it doesn't work. What? Wait. I, like, turn it on? And then it, like... doesn't... Because I thought my bot had it... Okay, and then we try... No quote found. But why doesn't it work? Oh, cause only moderators can add. I can't change that. Only moderators can add a quote. Yeah, okay. I figured it out. Hitomi, stop the stream. Time to troubleshoot. No, I thought it was a cool thing to add, so I went and set it up. Sorry, I'm a nerd and I like setting up that kind of stuff. Where are all the mods when you need them? Did that have something to do with the D-sword? If not, I didn't care. I needed Fast to tell me how to get a real D-sword. Do you guys like my parkour? The two Fasts were speaking to me simultaneously, one in front of me and one in back. Oh, so I realized I can just put it myself, like we don't... Will this work? If I do it myself? Add a quote. Yep. That, they were in perfect cinch? Listening to them made me feel kind of strange. Maybe Fess had split. Maybe one of them was real and the other wasn't. Or maybe both were fake.
日本中の人たちに刻まれているのは若者のマーチという記号がなぜかしら
Why? Well, I didn't care.
ファッションのマーチだから
Is that a femboy? No, this is a woman. Have you ever seen one? Sorry. That's so mean.
お店がたくさんあるから流行の発信者だから
How many times will I have to do this?
よくテレビに映るから交通の便がいいから違うわ
The two Fesses paused for a moment. I felt awkward, with a Fess watching me both in the front and the back.
大いなる意向自存在
Oi.
もっとわかりやすく言え
I accidentally skipped,
ば
sorry.
神よ意志な
We... The Great Will is what she said, okay. Oh no. Could this be... Was I being recruited for some kind of weird cult? I started to panic. I wasn't sure if I should run. But when she said her next words, that ceased to be an option.
理想度もまたその意志による導きよ
引力ってあるだろ
Do you? A part of my apple fell on the floor. I can't even eat properly anymore. Matt, were you counting? Van headed out of the narrow street and back towards Shibuya Station. But this is why I had to set it up as a toggle so I can do it this quickly.
万有引力のことっすか
Suo had been sure they were going to Shinsen, so he looked confused as he followed. Universal gravitation. What the fuck is universal gravitation? A physical law discovered by Newton that says that everything with mass, whether matter or energy, exerts a force on every other mass. Do you call that universal gravitation? Okay.
よく知ってるじゃねえの。さすがいい大学出てるだけあるな。
Ban grinned, but Suo just looked annoyed. Is that annoyed? Would I describe that facial expression as annoyed? I'm not sure.
あいにく大学じゃオカルトは勉強しなかったっすけどね。
Tell him!
オカルトじゃねえよ。世界には引力がアンバランス化してる地域ってのが何か所かある。
アンバランス化っすか。
振り子が楕円を描いたのもその影響ってこった。G レートって呼ぶらしい。
GE レート。
ああ、正式名称は何だっつってたかな。グルバケーション、グラリッシュ、えら？
引力ならグラビテーションじゃないですか？グラビテーションエラーレート。
そうそうそう、それで。
You guys don't mind my apple, right?
グラビテーションエラーレート。
直訳すると万有引力の異常値っすか。
I mind the apple? Man, I guess I'll starve. Mm.
物理学の辞典を調べりゃ載ってるはずだ
Starve
ぜ。
for our entertainment streamer. Is it entertaining for you? If I'm starving? What kind of filthy fetishes do you guys have? You enjoy me starving? Well, maybe you also want me to beg for food? Huh? Huh, weirdo? Robin just being happy it's not him being the weird one this time. Hey, look, this visual spends a solid minute explaining how phone works. Listen, this game was written in like the original version of this game came out in 2008. Back then, I feel like you would have to explain that to a lot of people. Dumb bag will be having some people cleaning up a mess at their computer. Oh my god. Chat, I'm so hungry. I want to eat. It's so bad. Is this your sexual fantasy? Oh my god. Can you guys imagine that Mai has to deal with me every single day? Like, you guys can turn off the stream. He has to deal with me. It is now. I appreciate the honesty, Aubergine.
乗ってたっすかね。
G rate, the rate at which a universal gravitation is unbalanced. Universal gravitation was a basic natural force discovered by Isaac Newton. It was a force that worked on both matter and energy. The layers of geologic strata below the Earth's surface were said to have a huge effect on it. Layers of volcanic rock beneath the Earth, for example, were known for screwing up magnetic fields. That was why, for instance, compasses wouldn't work in the Aokigahara forest at the base of Mount Fuji. Hitomi unlocking new fetishes in the viewers. I guess I just have that kind of effect on people. A fossil layer would be another example. It would contain large amounts of iron and calcium, and research showed that these could reflect magnetism. And magnetite, especially, was known for its effect on gravity. Magnetite was a naturally occurring magnet with octahedral crystals. If enough of it were to ever be found in a single place, that it would exist as a geologic dike. It would be as if the surface of the Earth itself had turned into a magnet and would likely have a slight effect on the gravity in the area. You could take the effect these geological factors had on the gravitational balance of an area and turn it into a number. That number was its GE rate. By the time Ban finished his explanation, the two of them were out on one of the bigger streets in Dogenzaka. The whole area suddenly seemed much brighter.
渋谷の平均 GE レートは世界でもトップクラスらしいぜ。地面に置いたボールが一人でに坂を登っていくようなケースもあるらしい。
That's not a gravity thing. That's usually just a visual illusion that you think it's uphill, but it is actually downhill. Any place like that makes that like is known for like, oh, it's going uphill. No, it's just an illusion and it's actually downhill. I went to fact check the gravitation error. The first link is for Chaos Head Wiki. Yeah. Yeah, that tracks.
マジっすか?
Suwa had been quietly listening until now, but his reaction was a little overdramatic.
まるで SF 映画の世界っすね。
お前の好きなな。
自分は小難しいのは嫌いっすよ。壮大なスケールの映画がいいっす。
Oh, did you guys hear my neck crack there?
知らねえよ。
先輩の説明はすごくもっともらしいっすけど、なかなか信じられないっすよ。GE レートなんて聞いたこともないっすし。
てめえの無知を一般論として語るな。デカに必要なのは事実を客観視することだぞ。
はあ。でも。
Suwa was right. GE rates were a minor field of study, not something you would ever learn in a typical college curriculum. Ben had only found out about him a few weeks ago.
そもそもまだ
These two are dumb and dumber. That's extremely accurate, actually.
渋谷の重力がアンバランスだと、なんで若者が引きつけられるんですか?
I'm looking forward to the answer here.
引力と人間ってのは意外と因果関係があるってことだよ。
Why do I have to deal with this? What is this? Remember, the main character is always the idiot because the writers have to assume that the player viewer is an idiot. These aren't the main characters. That's the most frustrating thing out of this. These are side characters that we're forced to listen to. And they are spouting bullshit.
お前、生き物のバイオリズムは月の引力に関係してるっての知ってたか?
But regarding, like, I do think that out of many games I've played where they treat the viewer as an idiot, this game isn't that bad with it. Because, for example, good examples of games that, I think, no, like, one example that I usually, like, pull up as, like, an example of game I could not deal with because of how much they treat the audience as an idiot is the Ace Attorney series. Well, I've only played Apollo Justice, as at the time when it came out on Steam, I was given a copy from Capcom. I survived 1 hour before I was like, ain't no fucking way, dude. Like, I swear, all of Ace Attorney would be 30% of the length if they just didn't treat their audience like elementary schoolers. Have you seen that people are training their AI on Ace Attorney? Like, why do we want AI to be stupider? What is the logic in that? They're doing what with what? No, yeah. And another game I did get through because it was interesting, but it did bother me with how much it treats the audience as an idiot, was the Zero Escape series. 999 is very frustrating in over-explaining basic arithmetics. Capcom, here, let us know how you feel. He told me awesome against the more than 60 minutes of this crap. Okay, I don't... Capcom, I'm so sorry. Don't listen to this. It's just not for me. maybe I'm just too intelligent compared to the target audience? I don't know.
潮の満ち引きだけじゃねえんだぜ。
ウミガメの産卵には月の影響があるらしいってのはどっかで耳にしたこ
I
とがある
am
っす。
genius, Tommy.
ああ、必ず満月の夜に産卵するってやつだな。だがウミガメだけじゃねえ。他に有名なのだとサンゴが産卵するのも満月の夜だ。
Not wise, Tommy, but definitely genius, Tommy. Yeah. In reference to what we were talking about yesterday. I'm very intelligent, but at the same time very unwise. I don't know, like... I don't know.
Ah, 海の中が雪降ってるみたいになるやつっすね。
満月の夜は引力も強くなってるって科学的に実証されてんだ。当然人間にもその影響は及んでる。
人の出産にもってことっすか？
出産だけじゃねえよ。バイオリズムって言ったろ。
Is biorhythms gonna be like the whole thing in this game?
普通の生理
Because there's
現
even
象
like
は
a
もちろん
definition of biorhythms in like the
事件
definition portion of the
病
game.
気、食欲とか性欲とかにも密接なつながりがある。
Even the sex drive and libido? Libido? I never know how you pronounce that in English. Yeah. I get more horny when it's the full moon. What are you, a fucking werewolf?
興奮すると頭に血が上ってるって言うだろ
Which head? Sorry.
う。あれは月の引力に引っ張られてるんだよ。
そりゃ極論だと思うっすよ。まるで個々の感情なんて関係なくて全部月のせいだって言ってるようなもんじゃないっすか。
そこまでは言わねえがな。
Libido. Okay. Libido.
集団心理って言うだろう。この町に来た途端に楽しい気分になったり、ちょっと無茶したくなったりするかもしんねえんじゃねえの？
Huh?
ニュージェネの一連の事件に対する反応だってそうだ。この町でそのニュースを見た連中は大抵反応が同じだ。どいつもこいつも楽しんでやがる。自分だけは被害者にならないって気持ちだ。対岸の火事を眺めていい気になってる。
そういう集団心理も GE レートのせいってことっすか？
I keep on anytime they do like GE, I think of GFE. I think VTubing broke my brain.
可能性としてはあるだろう。
Robin asking me what GFE is in 3, 2, 1.
渋谷に来たら楽しい気分になるってのが若いやつらの頭の中に無意識に刷り込まれれば。
Should have started a countdown a little bit later. GFE stands for girlfriend experience, and it's usually like content streams and stuff where the streamer or the person in the video acts like they are your girlfriend.
若者がこの街に惹かれる理由になるってわけっすね。
Ban was impressed. Suo was a quick learner. How do I hire that service? Open the ASMR category on Twitch. He was still young, but he was good at this stuff. And what made him different from the other kids was that he didn't just blindly follow his partner's orders. If something seemed wrong or if he had questions, he would speak up.
GE レートについては一応分かったっすけど、それでどうやって犯人を探すんすか？もし GE レートに影響されて今回みたいな事件が起きたってなら、何百年も前から似たようなことが起きてないと変なんじゃん。
そいつはこれから調べりゃいいさ。専門家がな。
先輩は調べないんすか？
俺はデカだぞ。
Ban grinned.
調べるのはニュージェネのことだけだ。そのために今日はわざわざ仕事サボって現場の GE レートを測ったんだ。もしこれまでの一連の現場の GE レートが異常を示したなら何を意味すると思う？
So you're blaming the crimes on bad gravity? Mr. Policeman, you don't understand. I didn't stab him. The gravity just has an error here, and the knife... Oh god, wait. I got an allergy to bullshit, apparently. Then there's just a gravitational error, and the knife just got pulled into his chest. Sua's eyes went wide and he stopped in his tracks. He seemed to have noticed what Ban was leading him toward.
事件は GE レートが異常を示している場所で起こるってことっすか？
Oh my god, it's such bullshit! It's such bullshit! I can't take it! I can't take it! Oh. I really hope this is just their, like, bad theory, and this won't be the actual canon explanation in the game. Because if it is, I'm gonna literally scream.
だとしたら次の事件が起こる場所をある程度予測できるんすね。
まだそう決まったわけじゃねえよ。それをこれから調べんだ。
There was something in this town. Something unknown, lurking behind the glamour and lights. Maybe it was Pandora's box, which nobody should ever open. That's what Ban thought as he watched people come and go down the street.
理想度もまたその意志による導き。
That was enough to make me finally snap. Fess had been continually changing the subject, talking about things that didn't matter at all. The Great Well, the reason young people came to Shibuya. I wasn't interested in those things at all. There was only one thing I wanted to know. Wait, also, the reason young people came to Shibuya. Was it she who said it? Or was it the dudes? Oh yeah, no, it was her who said it, okay. Confused.
ディソードはどうすれば手に入る？
I worked up my courage and asked.
教えてよ！
Fess's expression of ennui stayed unchanged as she looked down at her own D-sword. It was such a huge sword, but she seemed to carry it like it weighed nothing. It occurred to me that Fess might be incredibly strong.
教えられることじゃないわ。
なんて。
They really love the ennui word. Yeah. I told you guys, it's like the writer found one cool word and decided to use it 10 times to sound smart. After all that crap she made me listen to, she wasn't going to tell me the most important thing? What the hell?
見つけなくちゃいけない。自分自身で。方法なんて私には分からない。
She didn't know? So, how did she get the one in her hands?
ただディソードは力を持つ人の目にしか映らない。
So, people who didn't have the power couldn't see it. I could see it quite clearly. What did she mean by the power? Did she mean that I had superpowers too, like the two Fesses with me?
君には私の剣が見えているでしょう。それが意味するのは一つだけ。
If having that power was why Yua and Shogun were coming after me, then I didn't even want it. But I still wanted a D-sword. I didn't want it, but I do want it. Hess said that having it would save me. The Great Will, the reason young people came to Shibuya. These things didn't matter to me. I didn't need any power. I don't want any trouble. But the sword... I needed the sword to protect me from Yua and Shogun.
感じて世界の選択した意志を。
But Fess's answer was vague and hard to understand. I bit my lip, trying to figure out how to get more information out of her. But I could barely talk to Freedy girls even on a good day. Trying to figure out a way to get information out of one was beyond me. I tried to think back for the age games I had played to see if they'd give me any ideas. But neither slip her an aphrodisiac, tie her up, or lock her in a basement seemed like good choices. I am suffering greatly. Man, I just realized I might be a piece of shit.
君、名前は？
Tess had turned away from me and was walking deeper into the tunnel.
私は岸本綾瀬。
Only then did I realize we hadn't introduced ourselves to each other.
西条匠。
Tess, Ayasa, had her back to me, so I couldn't see the look on her face. I couldn't tell why she had laughed.
また会いましょう。匠。
Thank you so much for the follow, Alina Pizza. Welcome to the galaxy. Hope you enjoyed it here. How's your day going? Your username made me hungry. I want pizza now. Man. Ayasa got further and further away. I turned around, a little afraid to look at what the other Ayasa was doing. And she was gone entirely. Whether she had literally disappeared or just walked out of the tunnel, I couldn't tell. Ayasa had said she was a delusion. Was that the power of a D-sword? I looked back down the tunnel. There was another staircase 50 meters down the tunnel. Ayasa was walking up it. Before long, she was entirely gone from view. I was left alone with the silence of the eerie tunnel. I didn't have the courage to yell at her, and I was too tired and lazy to run after her. In the end, all I could do was go back home and try my best to make sure Yua and the police didn't find me. It felt like a long time since I had been back to the base. In fact, though, I had only been gone about 12 hours. The PC was still on, and my Seiran screensaver was smiling into the dark room. I made sure to carefully lock the door from the inside and then threw myself on the sofa. When I closed my eyes, all the things that had happened to me today came flooding back. I couldn't believe the cops thought I was the killer. They were totally wrong. There was no way I could kill anybody, right? Do your jobs, damn it. This isn't a game. I bet they were just coming after me because I was a creepy otaku. Otaku had low social status. Nobody would complain if one was made out to be the killer. They weren't making any progress finding the real killer, so they wanted to make me out to be a scapegoat. Damn it. How was I supposed to clear my name? The events at Cafe came back to me, and I shivered. There was somebody even scarier than the police out there. Yua was my enemy. I had let my guard down because I hadn't seen her for a while. I had thought she was just going to leave me alone. But today, I realized my mistake. I needed a D-sword to fight these people. I looked over at a cheap sword next to my computer. It was a fake. According to Ayasa, only those with power could see a real one. But Nanami had been able to see mine on the day I bought it. And unlike Ayasa's and Sana's, my sword didn't glow. Where was the real sword? I needed it as soon as I could get it. Otherwise, I was doomed. I was so sick of all this awful stuff that kept happening to me.
あなたは
Tommy Sensei. Oh my god. Robin, wait, is the next question gonna be like, he told me what is anime? Okay. Otaku is a word that means someone who is very obsessed with a specific hobby. And usually it will refer to people who are obsessed with like anime, manga, that kind of stuff. But it technically can be used, like, you can be a fishing otaku, technically. It's just, but usually when you just say otaku, it refers to like obsessive anime fans. And it usually like kind of imply that they're also sort of like a little bit of a shut-in and things like that. It's this like stereotype of like a dude obsessed with anime who's kind of like a social outcast, you know? Why are we hating on train otakus? What did train otakus do to you guys?
DID 多重人格なんです。
Oh my, wait. Talking about train otakus. Poland was literally in Japanese news because in Japan it's quite common to be really into like into trains. But in Japan it's very common to be into trains, but in Poland recently they added a ban on being able to photograph anything like owned by the government, anything national, which includes trains. So technically you're not allowed to photograph trains anymore. Like, just like snapping a pic is fine, but you can't like start taking photos of like the machinery and things like that. And it got to Japanese news because it's so common in Japan that they found it crazy that like in Poland it will be banned. Why ban that? Legit question. Actually, wait, it's not. I don't think it's trains. I think it's train stations. Like, because it's a general ban where you cannot photograph airports, train stations, any like army bases, uh, any like technical infrastructure. I think it's supposed to be like a safety thing, but I don't know. I also can't imagine it being like actually enforced unless someone is actually like literally taking like weird photos that make it look like he's a spy. You know? the trains just happen to fall into the same category as other things, and other things were the actual purpose. Yeah, it's more like fear of like, I guess just terrorism, you know, bombings, shootings, that kind of stuff. So, because if you take a photo, if you start taking photos of like train stations or airports and stuff, it can be taken as like you doing it so that you have information. For example, like where is like the best place to put a bomb and things like that. It's also like I'm pretty sure there's this very specific list of places. So it's not just that like if it's like a super rural train station that like 10 people use, no one gives a fuck, like that's fine. It's a very specific list of locations. No, that's not true. It's impossible. They say multiple personality disorder is really rare in Japan, don't they? You just saw too many movies and read too many novels. I didn't have multiple personalities. There was no evidence anywhere.
違う。あれは違う。
No, that doesn't. There's no evidence. Shows you evidence. Not that one. Not that one. But it would explain that chat log.
あんなの捏造だ。証拠にはならない。
But there's no evidence that I don't have multiple personalities either.
先生は僕を多重人格だなんて診断しなかった。
But Dr. Takashina vanished right after that. For no good reason. My other personality killed him!
僕は僕だ。僕が一番よく知ってる。
But if you would have multiple personalities, you would only know your current personality. You wouldn't necessarily know your other personality. Right? Right? But I wasn't sure who I was. Suddenly, I felt a prickling on the back of my neck. The same as always. Someone's gaze, watching me. Whose eyes are those? Is it my other personality?
そうだ。将軍だ。あいつが犯人だ。チャットログにもそう書いてあったじゃないか。ユアは将軍の手下だし。ニュージェネ事件だって全部将軍が。
But did Shogun even really exist? How did I know that he wasn't just a delusion?
僕はまともだ。まともなんだ。そうでしょ。
I held my head in my hands and screamed out to an empty room. An answer came from...
メールだよボケナス
Thank you. I went to the wiki to try and understand the plot of the game. That was a mistake. I now even understand even less, not just about the game, but about reality as well. Yeah, Chaos Head does that to you, huh? By the way, I wonder if, like, Twitch is broken because my follower count has increased, but I didn't get alerts. So if you followed and like an alert didn't pop, I'm sorry. Like I don't see it. I got like 4 followers today and I only have 1 alert. It's weird. Seira? Will that work? That's weird. Thank you for the follow, Sarks. Welcome to the galaxy. Hope you enjoy it here. I slowly walked over to my PC and opened the email. It was from Grim. The subject was, found something cool. It was probably more Guru or some mental browser crash image. I didn't have time to deal with his trolling, but I decided I would at least read it. Oh. Nightheart, how come you're not in chat? You're not playing ESO either. I couldn't find you, so I had to send you an email. This video is totally nuts. You gotta see it. I know you probably think I'm just trolling you, but it's got a new gen killer in it. Everybody's online talking about it, so you gotta watch it. You'll be left out, lol. Oh my god, is it gonna be the video of, like, the MC running away from the scene of the first murder? I bet that's exactly what it is. A video of a new gen murder. Taken by the killer? My fingers were shaking on top of the mouse. I couldn't take my eyes off the text. Did it show who the killer was? Who was it? Was it me? Part of me wanted to see it, and part of me firmly resisted. This would be proof. Proof I wasn't a killer. Or maybe proof that I was. I didn't know which it would be. It was like gambling, in a way. I felt my heart begin to race as I moved my mouse cursor over the link. But I couldn't work up the courage to click it.
私
I want to see this man's downfall so bad. He doesn't have much more room to fall. Bro is already pretty on the down. On the down? Down? I can't. I don't know English. Whatever. Game audio glitch? Oh. Thank you for letting me know. Let me know if it's fine now. When there's audio again. Shut up! Don't treat me like I'm the killer. Don't try to have sympathy for me. I didn't do it. You're the one that's working for the killer. Anger boiling within me, I clicked on the link. It opened a YouTube page. The video's window read loading.
僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない僕じゃない。
The video only took 10 seconds to load, but to me, those 10 seconds felt like an eternity. Eventually, the loading ended and the video began to play. It was showing someplace very dark. Oh, it's a video of the group suicide. The background was totally black. Was it indoors somewhere, maybe? I brought my face close up to the monitor to see if I could make out any details. How about trying to full screen the window first? Like this is like 20% of your whole monitor. And instead of just trying to open it full screen, you're like, no, I'm gonna bring my face closer into the monitor. It was dark and hard to tell, but there seemed to be several boys and girls there. They were all talking really loudly. Maybe it was the low audio bitrate of the video, or maybe it was that they were all so excited, but I couldn't make out what they were saying at all. Tell me, it's 2005 PC or something, they hadn't invited full screen yet. Was it that bad? I put my eyeball on the screen to increase the pixel resolution. Enhance! Sometimes they would scream violently and the static from the low quality mic would be awful. After watching a while, I could tell that there were 5 people there. 6 if you included the cameraman. The cameraman was carefully staying out of frame. It was hard to make out the face of the others in the darkness, too. Tommy had literal 480p resolution at best. Yes, but you can still put the 480p resolution on full screen instead of putting your head on the monitor. They seemed to be cheering each other, rubbing each other's foreheads, giving out friendly pats in the back and hugs. The girls seemed to be crying with joy in loud voices, too. It was a strange scene, sure, but what did it have to do with New Gen? Was it really the New Gen killer who was filming this? If nothing else, I didn't remember doing it. After a short while, the person holding a camera slowly began to move forward. The 5 people in the shot, originally about 5 meters away, began to loom larger in the frame. The video's resolution was very low. Maybe they had dropped the bitrate down as low as it could go during encoding to keep the file size as low as possible. I'm surprised that that bitrate is not something they felt like they had to explain. They explained how phones work, but they don't explain bitrate. Cameras these days all had night mode on them. Why wasn't the cameraman using it? Maybe it was an old camera? Suddenly the camera panned from left to right, showing the surrounding area. What I thought was a black background was actually the night sky. This video was being filmed outside. The reason I hadn't seen any buildings was because they were on top of a skyscraper. The 5 boys and girls were standing right on the edge of a tall skyscraper. Behind them was a sheer drop. You could see the lights of Shibuya spreading out from below.
これ
Finally, I understood. I knew what this footage meant. I knew why Grimm said the Nugent killer had to have taken it.
集団だいぶ
It's totally not like this is literally Shudan Daibu Eika. Group dive video. The group dive. The group dive. I... Guys, I figured out it's a group dive video! The case where 5 boys and girls had jumped off the locked roof of Cornelius Tower. The one Nugent case where they weren't sure if it was a suicide or a murder. Leave him alone, Hitomi. He's got multiple personalities. The other personality would have figured it out faster. If this video showed the 5 who had died in a jump, then that would mean a 6th person was there when it happened. I had been wrong about what they were doing. They were all crouching on the ground, clinging together and crying. I gotta say, the audio is done very well, where it can be interpreted as both crying and laughing, you know? Like, it does sound like both. They all seemed to know they were about to die, and they couldn't accept it. One was shaking their head no over and over. One was on their One was on their knees, sobbing and ripping at their hair. One was screaming at the cameraman, demanding to know why they were doing this. One had already gone crazy and was crying while they laughed. What I saw was a violent desire for life, and a powerful wish to not die. And helpless fury at the unfair situation they were in. But what was strange was, the cameraman's voice wasn't in the video at all. The person recording the video was almost eerily calm.
やめろやめろ
The video was close to a month old. Nothing I said now would change it. I knew it was meaningless, but I still couldn't help but scream at the monitor.
こいつらみんな死にたくなんかないんだぞ
But of course, my words went unheard, and the person holding a camera kept walking toward the 5 of them. They began to crawl away from the camera in fear. But it didn't matter. The edge of the heliport was right behind them. There wasn't any kind of safety fence. There was nowhere to run for the 5 of them. Another step back and they would fall. The cameraman slowly kept going forward, as if taunting them, oblivious to their cries. But even as it got close, whoever was holding it did nothing but move forward. Then suddenly, all 5 fell silent. They didn't make any motion towards each other, and nothing happened to cause it. But they all fell silent at the exact same moment. They stood up. The wind on top of Cornelius Tower was strong. It threatened to knock them over. If they slipped, they would fall. And then, they all took each other's hands, as if in resignation. Their hands clasped tightly with one another's.
よせやめろ謝るな
Silence. Even the sound of the blowing wind felt like it had stopped. The only thing I could hear was the sound of the cars traveling on a highway below the skyscraper. The cameraman still didn't do a thing. And then, one of the five, ever so softly, whispered,
その目誰の目？
That's freaky as fuck. Holy shit. That's freaky as fuck. Thank you so much for the follow, Yamunagi. Welcome to the galaxy. Hope you enjoy it here. How's your day going? I'm just losing my mind over the game right now. Like, what? What? I froze in front of the monitor as if a cold hand had reached into my chest and grabbed my heart.
なんでまたその言葉なんだよ
Whose eyes are those is a game thing, right? Whose eyes are those is a sentence that the protagonist uses very often and has been using since he was a child. Because he has this thing that very often he feels like someone is watching him, and that's the phrase that he uses whenever that happens. But it's not really a common phrase, right? So to see it used anywhere else feels very obvious that it's supposed to be a reference to the protagonist, right? This was the first Nugent case, right? Why had this boy suddenly said, whose eyes are those? That was the dying message in the fourth case, the vampire incident. This made no sense. The video continued, oblivious to my screams. Oh yeah, because in the fourth murder, they wrote whose eyes are those with the blood of the victim as well. Thanks for the quick explanation. I was confused too. Yeah, if you guys need, if there's anyone who hasn't been watching from the beginning, you feel free to like ask if you need anything explained. Also, you know, all of the VODs are available on YouTube if you want to catch up with the story. Hi Kitsune, welcome to the stream. How's your day going? The five of them slowly stepped up the edge as if there was a path waiting for them there, and then they fell off into the darkness of the city sky. I bit my lip and covered my eyes. Group dive wasn't a suicide. This was murder. The killer was right there when it happened. And who was the cameraman? I knew the answer. Muffled by the strong wind on the roof, hidden by the sounds of the screaming and crying, and between the bursts of car horns from the highway below, there was another sound that I could just barely hear. It was the sound of creaking metal. The sound I only heard when a cameraman moved forward. The sound of a wheelchair. It's the dude! It's the dude on the wheelchair!
あの時、僕の前に現れたのは現実だったんだね。カメラの目線が低すぎだよ。
You know, if you're a wheelchair user and you're that determined to murder people that on a wheelchair you go to the highest skyscraper in Tokyo, I gotta respect the dedication.
Shogun.
Did they have elevators in 2009? Chapter 5, Delusions. So what was chapter 1, 2, 3, and 4? If only chapter 5 is Delusions. The news about the leaked video of the group dive quickly became a huge deal, of course. The net was, like Grimm said, in an uproar. A lot of people in Atchan were saying that this proved that all 4 New Gen murders were committed by the same person. Why does this look so bad? The killer has got to be whose eyes are those. The guy who upped the video to YouTube has to be the killer, right? Totally whose eyes are... Okay, I'll call the cops whose eyes are those little... The whose eyes message showed up at the vampire crime scene too. Now there's a connection between the first and last Nugent murders. People have been saying there was no connection at all, but I guess they were wrong. So then the pregnant man and crucified are also... Oh shit, this is exciting. Oregon poster on 2chan, that's me. I didn't even notice it. There's Connecticut and Oregon? Oregon? Why are you guys on 2chan? And since the vampire case was the first time we saw his eyes, that means that the killer can't be somebody who saw the group dive and tried to copy it. They have to be the same guy. Don't look at me, lol. Whose eyes are those? I saw the video and it looks like fake bullshit to me. I bet one pair cut some theater group trying to make a name for themselves. Don't say whose eyes, guys. You're just egging the killer on. So this means all the Nugent murders were the same guy, right? Whose eyes are those? Maybe the other side of that legend only drops down 2 meters and there's like a mat or something under it, lol. Agreed. As long as that phrase is popular, we're going to keep seeing more murders. Cut it the hell out. It's not funny anymore. Whose eyes? This post is exactly the vibe of 2chan. Okay. The TV news was just as excited. 140 was right. I guess we're referring to them by the number. Fair enough. All the non-government run TV stations except for TVTK had done specials on it, and they've been showing the video non-stop. None of the specials were longer than an hour, but the fact that the video was broadcast all over the country was shocking. It's so hard to read this on top of the other text. Of course, all the stations cut the last part where they actually jumped, but the effect they had was incredible. The TV commentators were saying more or less the same thing as the internet, that all 4 of the Nugent cases were the work of the same killer. It was inevitable that they would say that. At last, the Nugent cases had something in common. Whose eyes are those? The phrase that was so popular in Shibuya right now. It had originally been thought that these words only appeared during the 4th incident, the vampire case. But one of the victims of the group dive said the phrase as well, despite it taking place over a month before vampire. Now, out of the 4 murders, it had appeared in 2, the first and the most recent one, and why are we repeating the same shit 10 times? Which meant it was probably the same person responsible for all 4. The police held an emergency press conference to announce that they were doing everything they could to find the uploader of the video. A few politicians issued statements expressing their anger and sorrow and demanding that the killer be caught immediately. The video was deleted by YouTube's administrators less than 3 hours after upload, but it was too late. Channels everywhere had downloaded it already, and nobody could stop it from being spread now. And then, late that night, the police made their next announcement. The video of the group dive incident was uploaded from a manga cafe named @cafe, specifically the PC in room 37. Oh, oh, Wait, 37 is his. Yeah, that's his room. The same room, the same PC that the links to the murder photos were sent from. That's what Shogun uses. I do feel like, realistically, the police would probably not announce something like this. I sat in my seat and leaned forward, my head pressed against my arms. I had been listening in on the conversations around me without even realizing I was doing so. Today I was feeling really sensitive toward other people's voices. After listening to a few conversations, I realized that everybody was talking about a group dive, just like I thought they would be. Some of the girls were even saying whose eyes are those as a joke. I bit my lip and stared down at my desk. That video was proof. Proof that Shogun was real. Proof that I wasn't the killer. So, I didn't have multiple personalities. The old man in the wheelchair was the Nugent killer. But why had Shogun uploaded that video? Nobody had any clues to the identity of the killer. Why would he reveal himself now? I have thought about it, and come to two possible conclusions. The first was that Shogun may have just wanted attention and recognition for his crimes. Given how he had shown himself to me, that seemed likely. The other was as a challenge to me. For some reason, Shogun and his servant Yua were after me. I didn't know why, but they had almost succeeded in making me out to be the Nugent killer. The police might still suspect me. Shogun was trying to trap me even now.
僕のメッセージは受け取ってくれた？目覚めるんだ。早く。でないと、もっとたくさんの人が死んじゃうことになるから。忘れないで。君は逃げちゃいけない。
That's what the Shogun I had seen had said. As near as I could tell, what he meant was, I'm going to kill you. So, don't run away. It was a threat. And now, he had uploaded a video for all of Japan to see. He was escalating things. He must have moved to the next stage of his plan. But it would be so naive to think this meant he had given up on me. I should assume that his attacks and plots were only going to get worse. I was scared. The video was terrifying. Shogun was weaker and frailer than even I was, but he killed 5 teenagers without even laying a finger on them. If he was behind all of the Nugent killings, that would mean that even the pregnant man, crucified, and vampire were all done by his hand, despite his tiny, frail body. Or maybe Yua had helped. Either way, I didn't have any hope of protecting myself from people who could do something like that. I felt anger at being chosen as their target so arbitrarily, but I also felt afraid of them. And then, whose eyes are those? There was that message too. Whenever I let my guard down for a moment, my body started to shiver. I had to stay tense at all times if I was going to keep myself from losing control. I kept a close eye on my surroundings and made sure I was ready to run if somebody approached. Shogun, or maybe Yua, could appear at any moment. It was entirely possible that Shogun had more servants than just Yua after all. Maybe some of my classmates, the kids who were laughing and chatting around me right now, were under his influence too. I had to avoid being caught off guard like I was at At Cafe yesterday. Otherwise, this time, I will be killed. I did not expect people to be streaming this game in 2025, a pleasant surprise. Yeah, I wanted to actually finally get through the whole Science Adventure series, because I've only played like a bit of the first Steins Gate, and still like the PSP version, not even like a PC release. The original PSP version is the only thing I played, and I didn't even do one full playthrough, so I decided to finally get through the whole series starting from the first one. Also, hi Sari, welcome to the stream. Hope your day is going well. I needed to find that D-sword. If I wanted to get out of this alive, I needed a D-sword. After talking to Ayasa and Senna and looking on the internet, I was getting more and more sure of it. If I could get the D-sword, I would be saved. While I was watching things unfold on the internet last night, I had also been doing everything I could to find information on the D-sword. I had gotten nowhere. I moved my hands up to my head and tore at my greasy hair. Ooh, he doesn't shower. He doesn't shower. How the hell was I supposed to get a D-sword?
見つけなくちゃいけない。自分自身で。
Ah. How am I supposed to get it? You just have to find it. Ah, why didn't I think of that? Ah.
方法なんて私にはわからないの。
That's what Ayasa had said. but I didn't even have a hint as to where to start. It wasn't fair. We're playing not patched because I wanted to see the original CGs, and I haven't, because someone asked me about this before. I know there is a patch, but I wanted to play unpatched because I didn't like that the patch also changes the CGs. Like some of them are completely new. They're not just like translated Japanese ones, and I didn't like that. I wanted to see the original ones. But I didn't find a way to be able to sort of patch just the dialogue, but not the images. Also, like I didn't really feel like this is bad. There's been maybe a few awkward sentences, but I haven't, like, people were telling me that, like, oh, it's like the patch is so much better, or like, so far, aside from like a few awkward sentences, I didn't really feel like I'm like missing something. I was getting more and more scared, and I wasn't making any progress. The fear was crushing me. I had to find it. I had to find a D-sword fast. I needed a D-sword, no matter what. Gotta find it. Gotta find it or it's over. I have to find it, before I become the victim in the next Nugent case. But find it how? I don't even know where to start. There has to be a hint, some kind of hint. If I don't hurry, I'll lose my chance. Can I find it? I didn't have time to be here at school. My life and graduating school, there was no question which one was more important. So why was I... Then I heard somebody getting close to my seat. I tensed up, jerking my head upwards.
Oh, びっくりした。
It was Rimi. She was standing there, blinking in surprise at my sudden movement. You're the ones that surprised me. Don't scare me like that. I relaxed, sighed, and dropped my head back on the desk.
タク、大丈夫?
She peered over me like she always did. I quickly looked away.
顔、真っ青だよ。汗もすごいし。
Approach someone, claim to be scared. I assume it was like because he like suddenly woke up or something? Still.
目も血走っちゃってる。
Guys, I forgot to hydrate. There we go. After she had saved me once, I was a lot less cautious around her. But that meant I was also just ignoring all the things that made me suspect her in the first place. Why did I see her covered in blood during the crucified murder? If she and I were friends since my first year of school, why didn't I remember it?
タク、体調悪いの?
Quick stretch, thank you. Let's break some bones. Oh. Rimi looked a little concerned.
なんでもない。
I turned my head away from her. There was no way I could ask her any of these questions to her face. When the day's classes finally ended, I was mentally exhausted. Even during class, I had been ignoring the lecture and constantly keeping an eye on my surroundings. I hadn't slept since yesterday, but I felt so tense that I was actually more alert than usual. The school days seemed to drag on for an eternity, and the longer it went, the more miserable I felt. Why did time seem to pass so much slower or faster depending on your mental state? They say time flows at the same rate for everybody, but there's no way that's true. Time is subjective. If you asked me, the things like hours and minutes were just somebody's secret conspiracy to hide that subjectivity, to make everyone think it was the same. And if time's flow was subjective, didn't that imply you could control it too? I only thought of that because of what Senna said about controlling other people's will. Didn't that imply
生まれながらに目が不自由な人でも目の前にある景色がちゃんと見えるようになる。ビデオカメラのような映像機器を介してな。
If you could take the image recorded by a video camera, turn it into electrical impulses, and send it into the brain in a way that could be understood. Didn't that imply that you could also take the images in the mind and turn them into electrical signals too, then send them to some kind of device to be turned into video? There is no need for the signals to be coming from a video camera anyway. For example, what if you hooked up a hard drive or a recording of a travel program? Or what if it wasn't a travel program but an anime? An anime is just a delusion. It's 2D. But somebody born blind would never even have seen 3D images. If you told them this was what the world looked like, would they believe the 2D world was real? They wouldn't, because they were still able to touch things. So they're aware that things are 3D. But sure. Wouldn't that mean from their perspective that the delusion was real? No, it's called being misinformed. Okay, we finally got to a choice. Chat, you get to choose if we're doing a positive or a negative delusion. Or a reality. Ooh. Oh, so we got an ad in the worst possible time, huh? Sorry about that. Pocket bad delulu? Bad delulu it is. For example, let's say that somebody will call A has an Pretty Little Liars reference? Sorry. God, I remember being obsessed with Pretty Little Liars. Let's say that somebody will call A has an image in their brain. You can send it to a hard drive and then turn it into a video, and then broadcast it into B's brain. Then A's delusion will become B's reality. Their delusions would become real. It will be theoretically possible, right? Wow, lol. I'm a genius, lol. I became incredibly excited about my own idea. Maybe this was the key to getting a D-sword. Ayasa had said a D-sword was a delusion after all. Okay, time to head home and look it up online. I left the classroom and headed to the front entrance of the school. But on the way there, I changed my mind and headed back to the building where the first-year students were. I felt like I had to do better to avoid the main gate. There was a chance Shogun or Yuwa might be waiting for me there. I decided to leave by another route. I used the connecting corridor that led to the first-year students' building. The bell had rung a little while ago, so the only kids left around were the ones on cleaning duty or in clubs and on sports teams. There was something slightly lonely and nostalgic about a school after the last bell rang. It didn't matter if it was an old wooden school or a newer one like Sume Academy. Not that I had ever been to an old wooden school outside of an age game. That line gave me mental damage. Either way, the school was quiet. I walked as quickly and quietly as I could through the silence. The setting sun felt warm through the windows. Normally, I walked with my head down, but there were no other students around me, so I walked with my head held up, alert, watching for anybody suspicious. Sound. I could hear a sound. What was it? It felt like I had heard it somewhere before. Then I saw something pass across my vision and down the corridor at the end of the hallway. It was an empty wheelchair. Images of the group dive I'd seen yesterday came into my mind. I felt a chill run down my spine and froze. The wheelchair vanished from my vision. Then I heard an incredibly loud noise. Well, so, we're done with Shogun. We don't have to worry about him now. I'm glad that solved itself. Oh my god. The silence returned. I held my breath and stared in the direction the sound seemed to have come from. What did I just see? Why was there a wheelchair at school? And why wasn't anybody sitting in it? It said empty too. Oh, true. Oh my god! He's cured! He stood up! That last noise was probably the sound of the wheelchair falling down the stairs. If it was that loud, the chair was probably broken into pieces now. I looked around. The quiet suddenly seemed eerie. From where I was standing, at least, I couldn't see anything moving. But I could feel a gaze. Don't look at me. Was Shogun here? Was he at the school? Why? To meet with Yua? To find me? I took a step back. When I did, I almost fell backward. I somehow managed to retain my balance. I felt cold and clammy. Was this some kind of prank? Why wouldn't they show themselves? I'd feel a bit better if they actually just showed up. Hearing that made me feel sick. I don't know. I suddenly felt like throwing up. I wanted to get out of here as soon as I could. I ran back the way I had come, holding my hands over my mouth. By the time I made it down the stairs and into the courtyard, I couldn't hold it in anymore. The second I dropped to my knees, the contents of my stomach came flooding up my throat. Ugh. Stop with these sound effects. They're so bad. They're so fucking bad. Ugh. Stomach acid stung my throat. My eyes were blurry. It hurt to breathe. There was a disgusting taste left in my mouth from the vomit. I guess I was under a lot more stress than I thought I was. Maybe it was because I had been up all night. I wiped the edges of my mouth as I looked around frantically. Nobody was there. Also, a rare CG where we actually see the protagonist. But the blind spots and shadows that I normally ignored now seemed terrifying to me. I started to think that Yua and Shogun could be lurking anywhere. And once the idea was in my head, I couldn't take another step. Somebody help me. I wanted to cry. The urge to vomit came back too. This time I didn't throw up, but I coughed and gasped for air. It hurt so much that even more tears came. Then I left a soft hand rubbing my back. Then I felt a soft hand rubbing my back. Who the fuck are you? I feel like the only normal one here would be like Rimi. But I'm so terrified to find out who it is. I turned around, afraid.
大丈夫。
Okay, I knew it! Hey. Like, it's still a bit freaky that she's here, but like, any other option would be a freakier option, you know? Rimi was there.
大丈夫だよ。
She wasn't asking me. She was gently telling me.
私はタクの味方だから。
This better be part of the delusion. What do you mean you're on your side? Who's the other side? What do you know? She showed no sign of disgust at the smell of my vomit, or the way my face was covered in snot and tears, with dried remains of my stomach's contents crusting the corners of my mouth. What's the other dude's name who can't stop thinking about women? Misumi. She had a gentle smile on her face, as if she was trying to make me feel better. She came up to me and rubbed my back gently. Why? When I had wanted somebody to save me before, she had appeared then too. Like a superhero coming to save the day. Why was it that having her around me made me feel so much safer? Why did I feel so much better? The next thing I knew, I was spilling my guts out to her. Even though I hated talking about myself.
助けて。一人は 怖いんだ。
Maybe that's why I'd come to school today. Until now, I had always thought I was better off alone. Of course, I was still afraid of talking to anybody. I didn't think I had any hope of being friends with them. But after everything I was going through with Yua and Shogun, I felt so scared and lonely. I wanted somebody to be by my side. I didn't even need them to be nice to me. I just needed them to be there.
一人は怖い。
だったら私が一緒にいてあげる。
In her words, there was no malice, no hesitation.
さすがに24時間ずっとは無理だけど。
She smiled and suddenly looked up at the sky. What was she looking at? It felt like she was staring at something far off in the distance.
朝一緒に学校行って、学校では休み時間にどうでもいいこと話して、お昼休みは一緒にご飯食べて、夕方一緒に帰って、帰るついでにたまにどこかのお店に寄ったりして、タクの部屋でちょっとだけおしゃべりして、それでまた明日ねって手を振って別れて、そんなのでいいなら私いくらでもしてあげるよ。そういうの結構憧れなんだ。
But that almost sounds like you would be my girlfriend. In the negative delusion, we imagine that Rimi is dating us. That's the negative delusion. Damn. I was in shock. She was serious, at least, as near as I could tell from looking at her.
どうして？どうしてそこまでしてくれるの？
それは
Because? This was leading where I thought it was, right? Her next words might be, because I like you, right? I couldn't understand what about me she could possibly like, though. No, wait, this was a Komei strap, a clever trick to get me to let my guard down. It had happened before, right? Why is the music getting quieter? Yua had deceived me and then betrayed me. I couldn't get my hopes up. I needed to imagine the worst case scenario. Rimi might be my enemy too.
石
She suddenly saluted me. I was caught off guard by her sudden action and worried that she might suddenly be about to reveal her horrible true nature. But I could still see the gentle smile on her face.
そんなの友達だからに決まってるでしょ。私にしてみればタクを助けてあげるのは当然なの。どうしてとか寂しいこと言わない。わかった？
うん。
Friends, huh? If she had said, because you're my boyfriend, I might have felt like a whole new life for me was about to begin. But even if it was as friends, it made me so incredibly happy. Having someone else be nice to me. Having someone do something for me without expecting a reward. I didn't realize how happy that would make me. Maybe it was something I had never experienced before. But more than that, it made me feel like I wasn't alone. Rimi was my salvation. The urge to throw up finally subsided and I felt a lot better.
はい、使う？
She offered me a red handkerchief that smelled like flowers. I took it, but I was hesitant to use it.
汚しちゃっていいよ。タクにあげる。
ありがとう。
I felt guilty, but at this point I decided to just take advantage of anything she would offer me. I wiped away the barf on the edges of my mouth. This was the first time a girl who wasn't in my family had given me a present. I wasn't sure if you could call it a present, though. But for somebody who was totally alone, like me, even something small like this was an incredible treasure. The joy and sense of relief made me feel like I was going to cry again.
それじゃあ帰ろっか。
She smiled innocently.
一緒に。
What she had just said about staying with me seemed, in her mind, to be a settled matter. I hadn't given an answer, but she didn't care. But of course, I didn't plan on saying no. I was afraid of being alone. I didn't want to be alone. Right now, Rimi was all I could rely on. But that didn't mean that everything would be fine from now on. I still chose a different route home than usual, and I kept looking over my shoulder the whole way. Danger seemed to lurk in every shadow. Each time I came to an intersection, I had delusions of Yua and Shogun lurking around a corner, and froze up, unable to go forward. Then Rimi would go ahead of me, looking down the street and turning back to give me a nod.
大丈夫。誰もいないよ。
I gave a sigh of relief and followed her. Rimi stayed with me, not seeming annoyed at all.
ねえ、聞いていいかな。一体何があったの？
Oh, I have another drink I was gonna try. I have like clementine flavored lemonade. And I wonder how this tastes like. This might be horrible. It might be amazing. Who knows? Oh, the smell is so strong. Fucking unscrew this. Open! Open! What did I... It broke it. That is weird as hell. Sorry that made a bad sound. I didn't think about that. It might be lemon flavored. It is clementine flavored. Like a type of tangerine? I wasn't sure whether I could tell Rimi. If I told her and Shogun came after her too, that would be my fault.
話したくないなら無理に話さなくても。
いや、話すよ。
I started to speak. I was reluctant to get her involved, sure, but if I didn't explain what was going on, she wouldn't understand how desperate my situation was. I decided to ignore the risk to her, for the sake of helping myself. She was the one who told me she would stay by my side, so it was okay, right? I told her about Shogun, the one behind the Nugent murders. About his servant, Yua. The two of them were after me. What had happened in front of the 107. I kept tripping over my tongue, but I managed to get it all out. When I told her about Shogun, the man in the wheelchair, she had frowned a little. That was the thing I wanted to ask her about most. That was the perfect chance to do it, too.
いたかな？車椅子のおじいさんなんて。
She didn't sound very confident.
思い出して。大切なことだ。
でも。
She paused as she was about to say something that was hard to say.
そもそもあの時渋谷の駅前が無人だったなんてことなかったよ。いつもと同じだった。
So she hadn't seen anything strange at all that night. I had hoped she'd tell me she had seen the same things I had. Rimi and I had seen different things. Which of us had seen what really happened? Was I just wrong? Was that empty Shibuya just a delusion of mine? But there was a problem, Van. That old man in the wheelchair in the empty Shibuya, Shogun. How could you explain him? If the empty Shibuya was just a delusion, then Shogun might be a delusion too.
駅前って人が多いでしょ。だから車椅子の人がいてもなかなか気がつかないだろうし。要するに見てないってこと。ごめんね、役に立てなくて。
Shogun was a delusion of mine. I was sure of that. I had thought he might be at first, but my opinion had changed totally after I had seen the videos of the group dive. The Shogun who had taken the video was real. There was proof he existed. But the empty Shibuya should have been a delusion, could have been a delusion maybe. Shibuya had been filled with people then. It had just looked empty to me, that was all. But what did that mean?
ねえ、それよりお願いがあるんだけど、いい？
She put her hands together as if pleading with me.
CD を買いに行きたいんだ。せっかくここまで来てからちょっと寄っていきたいんだけど、いいかな？
To be honest, I wanted to get back to the base as soon as possible. I had only taken this longer route home because I thought Shogun and Yua might be trying to set an ambush for me. I didn't want to go shopping. But if I refused here, I might upset Rimi. She might even get mad and leave me here. That would be bad. I needed her to stay with me. I didn't even think I could get back to the base on my own. In the end, I wasn't able to refuse. I followed behind her, fear increasing with each step I took. Hopefully even Yua would be reluctant to attack me with this many people around. But I was more scared of the idea that Shogun and Yua could be lurking in the crowds than relieved by the thought of getting lost in them. Each time somebody came close to me, I felt myself screaming internally.
パトカーだ。
My body froze. I quickly hid behind Rimi. She was right. There were 2 police cars stopped in the street. 3 uniformed officers were standing next to them. The police were after me too. I hadn't actually done anything, but they were too stupid to understand that. Were they looking for me? I wondered. But after a moment, I realized they weren't. They were staring at a crowd that was marching down the street. A protest, maybe. They were all carrying signs and waving flags and even had sashes and headbands. There was a little girl in the rows of protesters looking confused as she was pulled along by her parents. On her shirt, the words, "Whose eyes are those?" were written with a black magic marker. I bit my lip when I saw it.
何のデモだろうね。
The crowd was full of men and women, and the people were of all ages. As they marched, they would sometimes yell out slogans. "Drive the demons out of Shibuya!"
悪魔？
Some of the signs said things like "Drive the demons out of Shibuya" or "Protect Shibuya from terrorists." It was probably a protest over the Nugent murders. Protesting wasn't going to accomplish anything. If they had time to protest, they should just fight and kill Shogun instead. But I wouldn't have to feel so scared all the time.
タク、行こう。
Rimi looked away from the protesters, seemingly disinterested, and began to walk toward the CD shop. Once inside, she headed straight for the indie CD corner. Unlike the J-pop section, there weren't many people here. She stopped in front of the P shelf and began to look for a CD. But she quickly gave up.
やっぱりないな。
An indie band whose name started with P. Could it be...
タクはファンタズムってバンドを知ってる？今話題になってるけど。
I should have guessed that was what she was after. Of course I knew about them. I had gone to a concert and even owned a CD. I nodded, and she chuckled.
私、そういう情報は結構疎くて、最近になって知ったんだ。それで、友達に借りようかと思ったんだけど、なかなか手に入らないらしくて、誰も持ってないんだよ。
Is this where we risk her up? By being like, oh, I got a CD. Oh, wait. Is that Riz?
だから CD 買うしかないかなって思ってここ1週間ぐらいあちこち探してみたんだけど どこも売り切れ中。次はいつ入るんだろう。
僕持ってる。
Rimi's eyes went wide.
持ってるって CD?
I nodded, and then Rimi put her hands on my shoulders. And we get to be delusional again. Chat, positive, reality, or negative delusion. Ooh. I'm getting eeping. I didn't get enough sleep today. Okay. Reality Sumatilius can finish their art? Huh? Huh? I forgot that you were working on something yesterday. Her face was so close I almost flinched. The smell of her shampoo tickled my nostrils and I could feel my face turning red.
ねえタク、取引しよう。
Trade?
その CD 貸してくれたら見返りに私。
Her face was dead serious. I gulped. Oh, what?
と
She seemed to be lost in thought. Did she not actually have any ideas?
見返りなんていらない。
それって貸してくれないっていうこと？
Rimi looked sad.
そっか、残念。
いや違うよ。見返りなんて必要ないってこと。普通に貸すよ。
W Riz? W Riz anyone?
タク、ありがとう。
She gave me a brilliant smile. She looked so happy. I thought she might jump on me and give me a hug right there. Normally, girls were never happy about anything I did, so it made me happy too. I was glad I worked up the courage to say she could borrow it.
ビシッ。じゃあ見返りなしで借ります。となれば善は急げ。タクの家にレッツゴー。
I managed to get back to the base safely. Of course, it was thanks to Rimi. I was grateful to her. I wish she hadn't refused me when I asked for a little time to clean up my room before she came in, though.
だって前に来た時に汚いっていうのはよーくわかったし、今さら片付けたって無駄だよ。かっこつけなくてもいいって私とタクの中でしょね。
Were we too close for that? My memories of Rimi were completely gone, so I didn't really know. Sometimes I was surprised at how overly friendly Rimi seemed. It didn't really bother me, but it was clear that there was a difference in how we felt about personal space. Was she really serious when she said she didn't care if I cleaned up my room? There were discarded food containers from the convenience store on the floor and stacks of age game boxes with XXX rated covers on the bed. Honestly, if she doesn't care about that, respect. Either Rimi was really brave or she didn't see me as any kind of potential threat at all. I wasn't sure how I felt about either option. Rimi didn't seem to have noticed my discomfort at all, though. She sat down on the sofa and was staring at the lyrics booklet from the Phantasm CD. I sat down on my computer chair. At last, I could relax. Fear had worn me down today, but I didn't feel as tired as I thought I would. Probably because Rimi was here with me.
さて、どうしよっか。
She shut the lyrics booklet and gave me a big stretch as she smiled at me. What should we do? Don't ask me. Remy hadn't come here to hang out. She hadn't come to borrow a CD either. I was glad she was staying here, but what exactly were we supposed to do? Did we have to do anything? If this was an age game, we would go straight to an age scene, but... No, I shouldn't be thinking about stuff like that right now. Being alone in my room with a 3D girl was already a tense enough situation. If I started having delusions, I might end up saying something I regretted. Silence. Remy was sitting there, staring at the manga on the floor and the age games on the bed. This was awkward. I felt like I should say something, but the only things I knew how to talk about were anime and video games. I couldn't imagine Remy knew much about either of them. It was Remy who had offered to stay with me. Maybe she would say something. If she was hoping for me to take the lead in the conversation, she was asking the wrong person. I really hated dealing with 3D girls. I appreciated her being with me, but the silent pressure was unbearable. Part of the problem was how dark this room was. It made the mood feel kind of erotic. I turned back to my PC, unable to bear the awkwardness anymore. There was something I had to look up. It was the idea I had back at the school, the one that might give me a hint towards finding the D-sword. Is it possible to turn the thoughts in your head into a video? No! I'm glad I was able to answer that question for you. What Senna had told me before about VR technology and how humans run on electricity felt like it could be a good starting point.
何してるの?
Remy stood up and walked over to me. Should I explain? But how to explain? It felt like it would be a big pain in the ass. Ugh. Sorry, I'm just stretching a little bit. Ugh.
ねえねえ、何してるか教えてよ。
Since I didn't answer, Remy started poking me in the back with her finger. I couldn't just ignore her, right?
君はその妄想が現実になるって信じられる?
I kept typing search keywords into the browser instead of looking back at her. If anything, I was looking at Seiratan as I spoke.
妄想が現実に? 無理でしょう。もしそれができたら、人はとっくに万能になってるよ。
Anything they wanted, huh? That might be true. In your delusions, you could do anything, no matter how unreal. If those delusions could become real, that would mean the unreal could become real too.
それがどうしたの?
それに近いシステムがアメリカで特許あるんだ。
へえ、冗談でしょ。
I wasn't looking at her, but I could sense her giving me a sigh of disbelief. I decided to show her the image of the patent that Chiho had found for me.
これは?
特許の証拠写真。
本当に?
She leaned forward and stared at the monitor. Her head was now right next to mine.
わあ、私英語って苦手。すごいね、タク。英語読めるなんて。
She was so close. I could even see the sparkle in her eyes as the monitor's light reflected off them. My heart skipped a beat again.
ねえねえ、どういうことか教えてよ。
She seemed to have taken an interest. I tried my best not to think about how close she was, moving my head so that I could see both Seiratan and the monitor at all times.
生まれながらに盲目の人でもビデオカメラみたいな映像機器を通すことでそこに映る景色が見えるようになるんだ。これ豆知識な。
ビデオカメラが目の代わりっていうこと？
そう。 VR 技術って言うんだよ。
へえ。もし本当だったらすごいな。
It is true. Senna said that I had even succeeded in testing it.
でも機械を使って目が見えるようになるのと妄想が現実になるってどうつながるの？私頭悪いからよくわかんないや。
As I explained my theory to Rimi, I kept on typing keywords into the search engine, but nothing was coming up. I kept going anyway.
映像機器に映る景色も脳内で思い浮かべた妄想も電気信号だから。逆に考えるんだ。脳内に電気信号を送るんじゃなくて、脳内から電気信号を送るって考えるんだ。
ほほう。
Her responses were dull, almost blank. Maybe she didn't understand at all. I was tired of explaining things to her, so I just stopped talking. I focused on my research. I didn't really need her to understand anyway. It was just an idea I had come up with. Humu. Rimi was still nodding and murmuring even though I had stopped talking. I decided to just ignore her. But no matter how much I searched, I couldn't find anything to back up my theory. I decided to change my approach and look at patterns instead of just web pages. I went to the English site that Chico had told me about that had a list of patterns. I would look and see if anything there could give me any hints. Space satellite. Humanity. Data processor Sean. Not station, Sean. Pesponder. Thank you. After following a bunch of links, I finally found something similar to what Shiho had shown me before. It was a different pattern document than the one for the VR device. I decided to read it immediately.
神経信号パルスを遠隔地からモニターし、それを映像および音声として再現する装置と方法。
Ooh. It was just what I had thought of. I leaned forward out of my chair.
これすごいぞ。
すごいの？何が？
簡単に言うとこれ他人の思考を盗撮する技術だ。
We're just making shit up. We're just making shit up now. Man.
思考盗撮。
Science adventure is just bullshit science, that's true. Man. In other words, you could use a special device to take a look at the images and sounds inside a person's head. And I even said you could monitor these nerve impulses from satellites. With this, you could read the mind of anybody on Earth.
本当にそんなことできるの？ SF 小説とかそういう類のものなんじゃ？
特許ってそのシステム自体が完全に仕上がってないと。
I don't think that's quite true, is it? I mean, like, you have to have the... Like, I assume you have to have the system, like, finished, designed. But it doesn't have to work.
絶対に取得できないんだって。
That's what I had read when I had looked up patents online.
だからこれもちゃんとシステムが確立されてるってことだよ。
This wasn't fiction. If you had the money and technological prowess to make the system, you could do it anytime you wanted. I remember what Senna had said.
ある意図的な情報を神経パルスへコンバートすることが可能なら、人の五感すべて、さらには人の意志そのものもコントロールできるんじゃないか。
I hadn't found any source to confirm or deny that, so it was just a guess. But the theory I had come up with had a source. Why wasn't this incredible news anywhere to be found in Japan? It felt like you could win a Nobel for it easily. I decided to search for things involving mind reading. What I found was a record of an American court proceeding.
また英文だ。頭痛くなってきそうだよ。
It was pretty long, so I didn't feel like trying to read it all. I decided to use translation software on it, even if it meant I might end up with something a little off. The basic idea was something like this. Legal proceedings. Plaintiff N.K. Rabin, defendant, United States Department of Defense, Central Intelligence Agency. Plaintiff's claims. My thoughts are being scanned by a special device, recorded and sent somewhere via satellite. I am a hostage to the satellites, and I am exposed to attack by multiple satellites, night and day. 1. Tracking. 2. Mind reading. 3. Observation of my entire body. 4. Biofrequency attacks. 5. Audio attacks. 6. Inducement of physical weakness. Beginning in late December 1990, I have been shown artificially created dreams, including audio, visual, and voice content during my sleep. Between the months of February and May 1992, I was a victim of biofrequency attacks, pain, torture, harassment. I recognized that these were attacks upon my person, and beginning in February 1992, I began to record the following in my notes: time, date, contents of particularly painful psychological attacks. These biofrequency attacks were performed upon every part of my body. The pain, torture, and harassment were finely tuned so that they would cause unpleasurable sensations and exhaustion and pain to parts and sometimes all of my body. The major parts of my body that were affected are as follows: chest, vision, abdomen, brain to cause sleep disorders, brain to cause me to have artificial dreams.
思考監視、思考盗撮、しかも国家ぐるみ。マジ？
私これ知ってる。何年か前に映画で見た。
That was just fiction, wasn't it? But these court proceedings were real. There were two possibilities. The plaintiff was just crazy, or it was all real. It was hard to tell which was true. After seeing the patent, it was probably real, but still. But Senna and Ayasa weren't crazy, especially Ayasa. Ah! Down the tunnel, I had seen her split in two. I hadn't seen the moment it had happened, but when I had turned around, Ayasa had been there, and in her underwear, too. And I had seen her pull the D-sword out from nowhere, too. That wasn't a hallucination or a delusion. After seeing that, I couldn't call her crazy. But there was also what she had said.
君が望んだ妄想よ。
So that strange thing I had witnessed had happened because I had seen it in my delusions. It was true that just before it had happened, I had been thinking about Ayasa in her underwear.
理想度は力を持つ人の目にしか映らない。君には私の剣が見えているでしょう。それが意味するのは一つだけ。
Was that what Ayasa had meant by power? The power to project delusions into reality? It was possible that I had it. No, I was jumping to conclusions. Maybe there was a system that could use science to turn delusions into video footage, but it didn't mean psychic powers were real. Okay, maybe this is a good stopping point, because I'm... Oh.
つけなくちゃいけない。自分自身で。
Maybe sorry for the shorter stream today, but I am really sleepy, really hungry, and just I don't think I can focus for longer. I greatly apologize for that. Thank you so much for the follow, Sari. Welcome to the galaxy. Hope you enjoy it here. Hope you can, hang around for future Chaos Head streams and other streams. I missed it. How many flips did Tommy do? I only did one. I had to flip and then flip back. Unless that counts as two. It's fine, go get some Eepin food. Or else. Yeah. Tomorrow, we're playing Claire Obscure Expedition 33. I have a very cool opportunity to be able to stream it to you guys a day before release. So we can check out, because the game comes out on Thursday, but I have an exclusive opportunity to be able to stream it tomorrow. I've been very, very excited for this game, so this is super cool. I'm gonna try to get back from work ASAP and start to stream ASAP. Like technically it's scheduled, like the stream is scheduled for my usual stream time, but if things go right, I might be able to start maybe like 20-30 minutes earlier. I'm so excited for Claire Obscure. Yeah, it looks so good. I've been looking forward to it since like I heard about it and like I saw the first trailers. I'm really, really excited, and my expectations are high, you know? My expectations are pretty high. And then on Thursday also the 100 line comes out, and I really, really want to play it, but I feel bad. It's like $75. So I have a little donation goal if you want to support my dream of getting the new game that is it's developed by like people who worked on like Danganronpa or AI the Somnium Files. And it's people are going crazy because it has actual 100 endings and actual meaningful endings, not shitty endings, and I really want to see how that looks. I'm really, really excited to see, but $75. It's crazy. It's because for some reason, like the current exchange rate, like the localized pricing for Poland on Steam is fucking horrible. So the game is $60 in the US, but it's like just under $75 if you convert it at the current exchange rate in Poland. I mean, obviously, like it's in the US, it's $60 plus tax, while like in Poland, it's $75 tax included. But like, still, it's a crazy difference. Anyway, if you want to support my dream of playing the 100 line, !donate in chat. Also, buy my merch. My summer merch collection was shadow dropped last week. And it's super, super cute. You can get a little Hitomi to go with you wherever you want, or you can just have a little standee on your desk. And you can chew on it. It has been established you can also chew on it. I wouldn't necessarily say you can eat it. I don't recommend consuming it. But you can chew on it. And it's super, super cute, and you should check it out. The link to get my merch is in the pinned message in both chat. Okay, let's quickly rate someone. Who's live? We can rate Pat. Pat is like a recent friend I made, and he's super cool. And he calls himself a weaponized femboy VTuber. Take of that what you will. If YouTube watchers want to check him out, because he's only streaming on Twitch, I'm gonna throw the link to his Twitch here while we're gonna raid on Twitch. I hope you guys enjoy his stream. He's playing Noita, which is a game that some people might know I played for like 10 minutes and never came back to it. Anyway, thanks everyone for today. Tomorrow we're playing Claire Obscure, and on Thursday I'm gonna be rigging my new model live on stream. So if you want more sneak peeks of how new Tommy is gonna look like, don't miss it. I'll probably also be like yapping, and I'll be like singing along to music. So if you also like me singing and stuff, you will also hear that on the first day stream. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.